Hello everyone, welcome to our series of Arthanomics, where we shall discuss various concepts and issues related to the field of economy. Now recently there was this news that rupee has risen against dollar. So it begs the question that what are the factors behind the rise of rupee? Why is rupee rising against dollar? And what other factors are responsible for the fall of rupee? So this video would be dedicated to factors behind rise and fall of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. Alright, so what will we cover in this video? Before understanding why does rupee rises and falls against dollar, you need to understand balance of payment, because balance of payment issues are responsible behind the movement of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. So first of all, we'll understand balance of payment. Then we'll take a look at what factors lead to the strengthening of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. Then we'll take a look at what factors lead to weakening of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. And then we'll understand the recent rise of rupee against dollar. That will be explained. As a matter of fact, by the end of this video, you'll understand what factors are behind the rise and fall of rupee. Alright, so without further ado, let's begin with balance of payment. Now, what is balance of payment of a country? Let's take a look. Balance of payment is a statement of all transactions made between entities in one country and the rest of the world over a defined period of time, such as a quarter or a year. Now, what is balance of payment? All the people of one country, the transactions of all the people of one country with the rest of the foreign countries is noted down in this sheet, which is called balance of payment sheet. All right. Now, I'll explain this with an example. Let's suppose we are talking about India. We are talking about the balance of payment of India. Now, Indians have transactions with the rest of the world as following. India imports $40 billion in 1 year. The imports of goods and services is worth $40 billion in 1 year. Then India exports goods and services worth $20 billion. Then India takes a debt. India takes loans of $10 billion in 1 year. And there is $15 billion of FDI, foreign direct investment in India in 1 year. All right. Now, all of these transactions of Indians, mind you, Indians with the rest of the world would be noted down in balance of payment. So all these transactions, whether it's import of goods and services, exports of goods and services, foreign investment in and out of the country, loans in and out of the country, NRI deposits in and out of the country, all these transactions of 1 year are noted in balance of payment. All right. Now the movement of transactions in this balance of payment determines the position of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. Now let's take a look how. But before understanding that, let's take a look at the constituents of balance of payment. All right. So balance of payment consists of two parts, current account and capital account. Let's take a look at current account. Now, one of the most important constituent of current account is trade balance. Now, what is trade balance? Trade balance notes down the import-export transaction of goods in a country. So if in 1 year you import $40 billion of goods and in 1 year, in the same year, you export $20 billion of goods, that entire transaction, the value of that transaction would be noted down in trade balance. So trade balance consists of transactions for import and export of goods. Mind you, goods, not services. So in trade balance, there would be transactions of India with the rest of the world as far as goods are concerned. All right. Now, trade balance is just one constituent of current account. The other constituent of current account is invisibles balance. Now, what is included in this invisibles balance? Now, as we all know that trade in goods is noted down in trade balance. Trade in services would be noted down in invisibles balance. Now, why do we call services as invisibles? Because goods are tangible. You can touch and feel them. But services are kind of invisible, right? So that is why we include trade in services. That includes export and import of services in invisibles balance. So trade in services would include services import and services export. Then the other constituent of invisibles balance would be factor payments. Now, what are factor payments? You must have heard about these factor payments: rent, wages, interest, profit. You get rent on land. You earn wages for your work, for your job. You earn interest on a loan. You earn profit on your business. Now, all these transactions, all these factor payments, all these incomes are considered part of factor payments, and factor payments are considered a part of invisibles balance. So let's suppose I am an Indian and I own a land in USA. So on that piece of land in USA, I earn some amount of rent. So that rent would be noted down in invisible balance of current account. Similarly, if I am a person who owns a company in US and that company earns some profit and that profit is transferred to me, so that would be noted down in invisibles balance. So Indians earning rent, wages, interest, profit outside India would be noted down in invisibles balance. Similarly, foreigners earning rent, wages, interest, profit in India would be noted down in invisibles balance. So transactions related to factor payments are noted down in invisibles balance. Then there is this another third part of invisibles balance, which is called transfer payments. Now, what are transfer payments? In one line, if I need to describe it, transfer payments would be unilateral transactions. For example, if you pay someone money, you are expecting some good or service in return, right? You pay someone because you expect something in return. That's why it is a transaction. But when you pay someone without expecting anything in return, for example, you're paying your family members. I shouldn't be saying paying. Well, if you're giving money to your family members, giving money to your brother or sister or whatever, you don't expect anything in return. You are gifting something to your friend. That is not a transaction, all right? That is a unilateral transaction. So all these unilateral transactions which are not for expectation of any good or service are called transfer payments. So Indians receive some transfer payments from the rest of the world, and Indians also transfer some payment to the rest of the world. For example, examples of transfer payments would be, let's suppose WHO gives a $40 billion of grant to India. Now that's a transfer payment because that's a grant. If WHO would have given a $40 billion of loan to India, that would have not been a part of transfer payment because that's a loan. You expect interest in return, right? But if WHO gives $40 billion of grant to India without expecting any good or service in return, then that would be a part of transfer payment. Similarly, if India grants some money, India gives a cash grant to Bhutan, that would be considered a part of transfer payment, and that would be included in invisibles balance. Similarly, there is this thing called remittances. For example, there are many Indians who are working in Gulf countries, who are working in let's suppose USA, Canada, Europe. Now they earn some money and they send some money back home in India to their family members. Now those are considered a part of remittances. So there are many Indians working outside India who send remittances. Now those remittances are transfer payments. Of course, if a person working in Gulf is sending some money back to his wife, he doesn't expect any good or service in return, right? Of course, I hope so. So that is why that is considered a part of transfer payment, and that is considered a part of remittance. So grants and remittances form a part of transfer payment. All right. Now let's take a look at how these transactions are noted down in current account. All right. So when you import something, you are sending money out of your country. Right? If I'm importing an iPhone from USA, I'm giving money, I'm sending money out of India to USA, right? So when you're importing something, that transaction is noted down with a sign of minus, negative sign, all right? Because money is getting out of your country. Similarly, when you're exporting something, then money comes in your country. For example, I'm exporting rice outside India. So I'm getting money from the rest of the world in India, right? So that transaction would be noted down with a plus sign. All right. So within current account, all these transactions, whether it's imports, exports, services, factor payments, transfer payment, all these transactions would be accompanied by a negative sign or a positive sign. Positive sign would mean that money is coming inside India, and negative sign would mean money is getting outside India. So for example, if my company is earning profit in USA, then that profit would be accompanied by a positive sign. Similarly, a multinational company, let's suppose Samsung, is earning money inside India, is earning profit inside India, then that profit would be accompanied by negative sign in invisibles balance or current account. All right. So services import is accompanied by a negative sign. Services export is accompanied by a positive sign. All right. Now, if in the entire current account, the negative sign is dominant, then we call it a current account deficit. All right. So if negative sign is dominant, then we call it current account deficit. And if in the entire current account, among all the transactions, if positive sign is dominant, then we call it a current account surplus. All right. So if negative sign is heavier or negative sign is more dominant, then we are running a current account deficit. And if positive sign is heavier, let's suppose India is exporting way more than it is importing. All right. Then we are running a current account surplus. Now, these deficits or surpluses in your current account are extremely critical for the position of rupee against dollar. The amount of deficit you're running in your current account or the amount of surplus you're running in the current account would determine the position of rupee against dollar. Now, to understand why deficits or surpluses in current account impact the position of rupee, you need to take a look at this example. Now, let's suppose there is this person in India who wants to import a particular good or service from America, USA. Now, for that to happen, he needs to be able to pay that particular person who is selling that good or service to an Indian. All right. Now, as you all know that if you want to import something from America, you cannot pay that particular person who is selling that good or service in rupees because Americans won't accept payment in rupees. They would want their payments in dollars. So what options do you have? What will you do? You do one thing. What you do is you take your rupees and go to the forex market and you tell that particular person in the forex market that you take my rupees and in exchange give me certain amount of dollars. All right. So you buy dollars from forex market by giving some rupees. Now you have dollars with yourself. Now you can pay that particular person in America for that particular good or service. All right. So for importing something, you need to be able to convert your rupees into dollars in forex market. All right. When you're importing something, you are actually increasing the demand for dollars because that's how you are going to pay your particular seller. Make sense, right? So whenever Indians import a lot, they increase the demand for dollars. Now that is very important. Remember this fact. Whenever we import, we increase the demand for dollars because internationally payments happen in dollars. All right. Now similarly, let's take a look at exports. All right. Now, when a particular Indian in India is exporting a good to someone in America, he would get payment in dollars only. Yes, because if you're exporting something, if you're selling something to an American, he would pay you in dollars. Now, dollars are worth nothing for you in India. You can't buy things in India using dollars, right? So how would these dollars be valuable for you? What would you do is you will accept payment in dollars, but then you'll again turn to forex market, right? Because dollars are worth nothing. What will I do with these dollars? That's the question you are going to ask yourself. So what will you do? You'll go to the forex market and exchange dollars for rupees because rupees are worth something in India. Dollars are worth nothing in India. You can't buy anything from dollars in India. All right. So when you're exporting, when Indians export a lot, they are actually reducing the demand for dollars and increasing the demand for rupees. You need to remember this fact. When you're importing, when Indians are importing a lot, they are increasing the demand for dollars. And when Indians are exporting a lot, they are decreasing the demand for dollars and increasing the demand for rupees. Hold on to this thought because this thing which you have just understood is extremely important to understand the movement of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. All right. Now, import or export, are a part of current account. So whenever you are running a current account deficit, that means money is getting out of India. At that moment, demand for dollar increases. Right? When you increase your exports or your current account is in surplus, that means demand for dollar is decreasing. Makes sense? Because your current account would be in surplus because you are exporting a lot, right? So when you're exporting, you are decreasing the demand for dollars. When you're importing a lot, you are increasing the demand for dollars. So when you're running current account deficits, you are increasing the demand for dollars. And when you're running current account surplus, you are decreasing the demand for dollars. Please remember this box in green. All right. Chaliye. Now we'll turn to capital account. All right. So let's take a look at capital account. Now, capital account can also be further subdivided into various parts. The first part of capital account would be foreign investments, and foreign investments can also be further subdivided into foreign direct investment and foreign institutional investment. So if some foreign direct investment is coming to India, some foreign investor is investing money in India, then that will be denoted in capital account with a plus sign. If some Indians are doing foreign direct investment in America, England, Europe, Bhutan, Pakistan, if some Indians are doing foreign investment, that means money is getting out of India. So that would be denoted with a negative sign. So if foreign investment is coming to India, that would be noted in capital account with a plus sign. If foreign investment is getting out of India or investment is getting out of India, then that would be denoted in capital account with a negative sign. All right, because money is leaving India. Then the other part of capital account is external commercial borrowings. Now, what are external commercial borrowings? Suppose there is this Indian Indian, let's suppose Mukesh Ambani borrows money from Bank of England. So he is taking money, you're taking loan from Bank of England, from some foreigner. So that would be included in the category of external commercial borrowing. And external commercial borrowings are included in the category of capital account. All right. If some Indians are taking loan from outside India, then that would be denoted with a plus sign in capital account. If some Indians are loaning money outside India, then that would be denoted with a negative sign. All right. And then there are NRI deposits. As you all know, NRIs also have fixed deposit accounts, FDs in India, right? So if NRIs are giving money to India, then that would be denoted with a plus sign in capital account. If NRIs are withdrawing money out of India, then that would be denoted with a negative sign in capital account. All right. Now the same logic, the logic we followed in current account, the same logic will apply to capital account. So like in current account, if negative sign is dominant in capital account, then you're running a capital account deficit. And as we remember from current account, when we have a deficit in current account, then demand for dollars increases, right? Similarly, if positive sign is dominant in capital account, then you're running a capital account surplus. And when your capital account or current account is in surplus, then there is a decrease in demand for dollars and increase in demand for rupees. All right. Now, let's come back to the entire balance of payment. Now, as you all know, that balance of payment consists of both current and capital account. So when including all transactions, including current account transactions, including capital account transactions, if in the entire balance of payment, negative sign is heavy, right? Then we are running a balance of payment deficit. And in that scenario, there is high demand for dollars. And similarly, when in the entire balance of payment, inclusive of all current account transactions and capital account transactions, if positive sign is dominant, then we are running a balance of payment surplus. And in that scenario, there is a low demand for dollars. All right. So you guys should remember this, that when India is running balance of payment surplus, then demand for dollar decreases. And when India is running balance of payment deficit, then demand for dollar increases, right? So if India is importing a lot, that means it is running a current account deficit. And if India is running a high current account deficit, that means India might run a balance of payment deficit as well, right? Because current account is after all a part of balance of payment. So when India imports a lot, then there is high demand for dollars. Similarly, if India's exports increases or the FDI coming into India increases, then the overall balance of payment would be in the positive territory. When that happens, then there is low demand for dollars. All right. Now, this thing is very important for understanding the movement of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. So let's take a look at rupee vis-a-vis dollar. Now you'll understand why rupee moves the way it does against dollar. So let's suppose price of $1 in forex market is 70 rupees. All right. Now price of anything, whether it's dollar, onions, potatoes, table, lamp, chair, car, price of any commodity in the market depends upon demand or supply of that commodity, right? You know this, na? So if demand for a particular thing increases, its price increases. A demand for a particular thing falls, then its price also falls. And actually, dollar is no different than any of these commodities. Price of dollar increases with its demand and price of dollar decreases with its decrease in demand. So when demand for dollar increases, then what we see? We see the price of dollar also rising. So when there is an increase in demand for dollar, then $1 reaches 75 rupees, an increase of 5 rupees. All right. And when does the demand for dollar increases? When we are running a balance of payment deficit, as we studied just beforehand. Right? So when there is a balance of payment deficit, there is an increase in the demand for dollar. And when there is an increase in demand for dollar, rupee depreciates because dollar becomes pricey. Price of dollar increases in rupee. So when there is a balance of payment deficit, then there is increase in demand for dollar. And when there is increase in demand for dollar, then rupee is depreciating. All right. Similarly, if there is a decrease in demand for dollar, and when does that happen? When you are running a balance of payment surplus. So when you are running a balance of payment surplus, then price of dollar falls. And what do you mean by fall in the price of dollar? That means your rupee has appreciated. All right. So when you're running a balance of payment deficit, then rupee depreciates. And when you're running a balance of payment surplus, then rupee appreciates. So if you're exporting a lot of stuff, exporting a lot of goods and services, then there are chances that your balance of payment goes in the surplus territory. And when that happens, then your rupee appreciates. Similarly, let's suppose prices of oil, crude oil rises. When prices of crude oil rise, then your imports also rise. And let's suppose because of your imports, your balance of payment goes into the deficit territory, right? When that happens, then there is an increase in demand for dollars and your rupee depreciates. All right. So when there is a balance of payment deficit, rupee depreciates. When there is a balance of payment surplus, rupee appreciates. All right. Now you got this thing. Now you'll understand why rupee has risen in the recent times. All right. Why is rupee strengthening now? Strengthening means appreciating. All right. Let's take a look at these 5 points. Point number 1. The rupee has appreciated 30 paise to 75.65 against US dollars on May 26th. Tracking positive opening of domestic equity investment and weakness in the American currency. American currency is weakening because investors think that America is not going to show a good economic comeback, right? Because lockdown is pretty severe in America, plus American economy is going through a downfall. So there are various investors who think that investing in America is right now not advisable, right? So there are many investors are taking money out of America and investing elsewhere. Plus, like we know that India announced reopening, or India announced that they are going to open the economy in a calibrated fashion, right? So investors are upbeat about this fact. Investors think that India's economy might grow. So there are many investors who are taking money out of USA and investing in India. Now, when they are taking money out of USA, then they are actually weakening dollar, and when they are investing money in India, that means they are increasing foreign investments in India. And when foreign investments increase, capital account goes in the surplus territory, and when capital account goes in the surplus territory, then there are chances that balance of payment might also go into the surplus territory. That is why rupee has appreciated, because after the announcement of lockdown 4.0 and after the announcement of finance minister of the stimulus package, investors are confident that India's economy might improve, so they are investing back in India. So foreign investment is increasing in India, and that's why rupee has appreciated. All right. Second point exactly explains whatever I just said. Reopening of business post-lockdown has infused some confidence among investors in the Asian markets, because Asian markets are slowly and gradually opening up. South Korea has started with this opening thing. China is opening, right? Though there are still concerns over coronavirus outbreak and US-China tensions, yet investors are somehow little bit confident that India or Asian markets might show a growth. Might recover. All right. Benchmark indices like Nifty and Sensex both showed some gain. So Nifty measures National Stock Exchange activity, right? Sensex measures Bombay Stock Exchange activity. Both of these indices have shown growth or gain. That means investment activity has picked up in India, and that is why rupee has shown some gain. All right. Weakening of American economy and dollar is the major factor behind the strengthening of rupee along with other Asian currencies, right? So people are taking money out of America. So America's balance of payment is going in the negative territory, right? Because people are pulling money out of America, right? And they are investing in Asian economies. So the balance of payment of Asian economy is going in the surplus territory. And that is why all these Asian currencies are showing some growth, and India is no different. All right. So that's it from my side, guys. I hope you understood each and everything about the rise and fall of rupee vis-a-vis dollar. If you have any doubts, then please write those doubts in the comment sections below. I'll see you next time with more videos on economy.